Okay, we're live. Various salutations, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is a session of Living World of Darkness, Camera the Venue, and we are starting the scene outside Lady Sheridan's opulent mansion. And Ghost has personally escorted Celio to the mansion. She's riding her motorcycle and he's driving his sedan. So Lady Sheridan may hear the familiar sound of Ghost's motorcycle outside. It's a very beautiful house with a very large garden and a gated front to it. And standing outside the gates are two guys that Celia may recognise from the strip club. You might have seen them around. Two of Ghost's bikers seem to be standing guard, a sort of makeshift security on the around the mansion. And Ghost gets off her bike and walks towards the gate and sort of just walks in. She doesn't press the buzzer or anything. She looks behind her to wait for Celio to catch up with her.
And after Ghost had parked, he pulled into a spot to park and looked out to see the guards standing around. And recognizing a few of them, he reaches into his vest, he pulls out his pistol, opens up the glove box, puts it in there, and almost as an afterthought, he removes the bullets from it and tucks them underneath the seat, so they're not with the gun.
Okay.
Closes and locks the glove box before getting out of his car. Watching Ghost go up for a moment before locking the door and following her.
And Billy has actually been put on door duty, so when Ghost gets to the door, Billy will answer the door.
Yeah. The guards don't try and pat you down or anything. That's not what they're here for. They're here to make sure that Lady Sheridan doesn't get attacked by the maestro. But and general stuff. I like answering her door now, apparently, even though she has ghouls.
Yep. They're not very reliable yet. They're still traumatized.
Alright. Okay.
Apparently, I need to spend XP in order for them to be actually usable as ghouls, which is the equivalent of me basically dealing with all their trauma.
Okay. Well, Ghost sort of rolls her eyes a little bit at Billy, as she normally does, because as he's opening the door for her, like a butler.
And he's still wearing his usual outfit. He's just
these guys look really out of place in this beautiful upper class mansion. They look because they're covered in motorcycle oil. They're hairy. They're dressed in leather. They just look really odd in this.
Silly will comment on that, and he said, "You can't make them blend in a little bit more."
The only thing that's important is, they do their job. I'm not really concerned about appearances. It's an intimidation factor. But anyway.
Never underestimate the power of a good deterrent, Lady Sheridan says, peering in the doorway off to the side.
Precisely.
It is always a pleasure to see you, Ghost.
Ghost smirks slightly. She's still limping a little bit from the other day. She hasn't quite healed her leg after you smashed into it with a sledgehammer. But she smiles at you. So, No hammer this time, I see.
No, I don't think it will be necessary this time. There's a small smirk on her mouth at that.
Ghost grins.
Scylla's just looking between them. Ghost kind of hinted about that earlier, but he doesn't really know the whole scope of what's been going on.
Mr. Rossi,
Yes?
I understand that you've been having difficulty contacting me. I did give you my phone number, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Excellent. Would you care to elaborate on any difficulties? I would hate to think that I'm not doing my job as your primogen properly. There's a rather dangerous smile here.
Ghost sort of walks, like pulls back a little bit. She's not going to get in the middle of this conversation because it's not really her business, and she doesn't really want to get in the middle of Lady Sheridan being in a bad mood. So she goes over to Billy and she's like, "Come on, Billy, show me where those biscuits are that you like." Then they go into the kitchen.
He goes, well, I was supposed to be a part of the investigation, but despite my best efforts, I couldn't find anything at the place I was sent to. I did find some information, but it's probably not going to be helpful to the investigation. I gave this information to anyone else involved, and I've discovered I'm being left out of the loop.
And you think that that has something to do with me? The investigation is the province of the sheriff. How much and who he includes is entirely up to him.
Yes.
I understand there have been a few other issues regarding your, shall we say, etiquette of late.
Oh? He arches a brow like he's actually curious about what people have been saying about him.
It is entirely acceptable to carry weapons. It is entirely acceptable for someone whose domain it is to ask for them from you. And upon leaving, you ask politely for their return. You do not cause a fuss with senior members of the court. You do not bring disrepute upon our clan by breaking into conversations you don't know about, and people that you do not know may or may not be a masquerade breach, given that they might know nothing of our kind, and demand weapons back. If you are refused your property, you can raise that with me, you can raise that with the sheriff, you can raise it politely with anyone you choose. But we have a standard of manners in this clan. Is that understood?
Well, perfectly understood. The last time I had to deal with those manners, though, I wound up here. And with all of my assets frozen. So, sorry if I'm not exactly the most trusting person right now.
As I said, you're entitled to be armed. You're entitled to want that back. It is how you go about it that is the issue. You ask politely, or you demand politely. You do not go making a scene if one is not needed.
And at this point, he says, I actually did demand very politely. If she has security cameras and you watched the footage, I never once raised my voice. I never once cussed. I never insulted anyone. I just demanded my property back.
Good. I'm glad that it was simply a misunderstanding. So, what was it you wanted to talk to me about? Other than the investigation, which is the sheriff's province.
Really, that was the main issue. I've actually stepped back a little bit from that investigation because if I'm not being kept in the loop, then I don't know where to look for leads.
That's understandable. If he fails to make use of your skills, then he fails to make use of your skills.
And my doorbell just rang, so I have to be right back. Sorry.
Ghost pops her head around the door, where her and Billy are sort of. Well, Ghost isn't eating biscuits right now. But Billy is. And he's like, well. And Billy starts saying, well, you know, he did give that young George lad quite a fright when he burst into the club. And Ghost nudges him and says, shh, you're supposed to have been listening.
And, yeah, Lady Sheridan will carefully ignore that conversation. Ghost can be fairly sure that she heard it, but Billy's probably not got the slightest clue.
Yeah, Billy just looks at her blankly and then goes back to eating the biscuits. And then he's getting all crumbs in his beard. And getting like crumbs on his shirt and on his like big beer belly and like dripping them on the floor, and Ghost just goes, for fuck's sake, just like get a napkin or something, you're making a mess. You gonna hoover up in here? And they're having a sort of little debate about whether or not he should be making mess. In the background.
And I'm back.
Good.
Again, sorry about that.
It's okay. Real life happens. Billy and Ghost have just been having a conversation about biscuits and making a mess.
Yeah. Okay.
So, shall we go and have a word with the Hound regarding the investigation so far and where she thinks that your talents may be of use?
We could. I'm not sure if they want my talents around.
That very much depends on what they are. Have you happened to make any known to them?
That's a bit harder than just walking up to someone and saying, this is what I'm good at. Where do you want me?
Well, do you have any connections that may prove useful? Any influence? Any
Not as of
skills in
yet, but
investigation?
I'm a little skilled in investigation, and right now I am looking into getting or setting up a few connections.
Then by all means, work on growing them. It is something that is quite important, but at the moment, I find it hard to see quite where that use would come in. Yet, as I said, by growing these connections, you end up finding other ways to be of use. But for now, I can't help but think that there might be very little you can do regarding the investigation. At least as far as I'm aware of it and its progress at the moment.
Yeah, most of my skills come when it's face-to-face with someone. So...
Yes. Well, until we have someone to question, that is rather difficult. But my recommendation would be to attempt to find out who in the police department is dealing with these cases. Because if you are not skilled particularly in investigation, and you don't have any other things to bring to bear in finding that information, it might be best if you could find someone who is skilled and gain their access.
And that's why I've turned to a Malkavian. There's a Malkavian by the name of Isabel, who's rather good with computers. I could probably find the records that way, as to who's assigned to what.
I see. You might, as I said, want to talk to the officers in particular. As you said, most of your skills are more effective face-to-face.
It doesn't hurt to do a little research before going in. That way I'm not completely unprepared for something that may come up.
Oh, definitely not. Research is often helpful. You are the one who knows your skills best. So, you will likely know how they can be applied. If they are effective in a crime scene, then you ask for the information as to where the crime scenes are. But if, as you say, they are better face-to-face, then you look for opportunities for the witnesses. You look for those who are present at the crime scene, who may have seen something or may not have seen something, or may have seen something they shouldn't have. You find a way to prove yourself and your abilities. The one thing that Ventrue never lack is ambition. And it does not just simply come to you.
Very true and well put.
That being said, I am currently working on developing a tower, a skyscraper, which is rife with opportunities. So, should you be interested in such an opportunity, please don't hesitate to ask.
Well, what would you need? I can see about...
I am renting office space in the lower part of it. I'm turning much of the upper section into secure, light-free apartments, should they be needed. I'm generally outfitting the place. But if you are intending on a business, or something of that nature that may benefit you financially and benefit from a office in a rather upscale section of town, then I shall certainly see about making that available to you.
Actually, that would help out a lot.
Any business in particular?
Well, I was thinking about doing more of a consulting, helping other people with their business, doing a little bit of investing on the side. This way, I can see multiple aspects of what's going on in the city. And with a little bit of investing, I might be able to control some things from behind the scenes.
Well worth attempting. Well, I shall endeavour to make you known to the security people. You can take the, shall we say, 7th floor for your business. Make of it what you will.
All right. And he says, there are 2 kindred I do work with, or I will be working with on a more regular basis. The new gangrel named Jason, and as I mentioned before, Isabel. Would they need clearance as well?
For the time being, until we begin to open to the public, which will be shortly. Only for the next fortnight or so, until the elevators have been upgraded.
Was there something wrong with them before?
No, merely increasing their security. So that additional security measures will be needed to reach the higher levels.
I see.
So, shall we see quite how much mess our 2 associates have managed to make?
I think we should.
And Lady Sheridan will head into the kitchen with a small and mildly indulgent and slightly patronising smile to Billy.
Ghost is sat up on the one of the chairs, and Billy's got a pink apron on and is making tea. And Ghost is sort of just sat there texting on her phone.
As you may or may not be aware, my clanmate here feels that he may be able to give somewhat more to the investigation into the maestro than he has currently so far.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, is there anything you feel we might benefit from knowing?
Nothing new. I think a lot of stuff's gone in Limey's direction rather than mine. Seeing as I'm the hound and he's the harpy, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. But
Yes, well, We all have to do what we can, and sometimes that is in unexpected forms.
I guess if you want to know a bit more, I'd say speak to Limey or Rose. Have you met Rose?
I have.
Or Sheriff. I know what I know, which is all stuff I already told you guys. They're the ones that have been prodding forward, thrusting into the deep abyss.
Into the dark and the unknown.
Grinding into the horror. Ghost looks like she's about to carry on with these mild innuendos, but doesn't bother.
There'll be a very, very slight smirk from Lady Sheridan about this.
She was just standing there seeing how long she would keep making these innuendos. Just counting them in his head.
She doesn't carry on for much. Yeah, she stops because Lady Sheridan's smirking at her, and you're sort of looking at her, and she shakes her head. She goes, "Oh, well, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying."
Yes, that you're feeling somewhat frustrated.
It's a natural state of mind. You know that. One of the downsides of being a Bruja. All the rage, all the emotion, all the time.
Not entirely a downside, I'm sure.
Well, it can be a bit annoying sometimes.
Also sounds like it could be fun sometimes.
Oh yeah, it can be fun. But sometimes you just don't want to be dealing with like human bullshit anymore. You know what I'm saying, don't you, Billy? You check to see if Billy's listening or not. And he's like, "What'd you say, boss?" I was thinking about kittens. And she's like, "Never mind." He carries on making tea. He's like, the guy's like huge size. He's probably about like just shy of 7 foot tall. Absolutely massive, but you can tell he hasn't got two brain cells rubbed together. So, I suppose I should get out of your kitchen to stop messing around in here.
Well, you're always welcome in my house.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure you have better things to do than to watch Billy make tea.
Not really. I'm kind of bored, actually. But, yeah, it's like not enough fights going on. I need to punch something soon. Get bored. But other than that, it's all good.
Did I tell you about my newest friend?
You have another friend? She raises a brow.
A werewolf by the name of Travis.
A what now?
Werewolf.
You're making friends with werewolves. Why?
Well, I'm a friendly kind of person when I choose to be.
And Celia's reaction to hearing the werewolf was he just looked over at Lady Sheridan like, What? But he hasn't said anything. He's not sure if that's a good idea, and it's very visible on his face.
Quite a sweet little pup. Even if he does seem to do less than an average amount of thinking with his head.
Where does he do his thinking with?
She'll simply raise an eyebrow.
Oh, come on, everyone's met you. You're not doing some bestiality, are you? Because
No.
good.
A little flirtation goes a long way.
Well, I really don't think it's a good idea to be hanging around with werewolves.
Well, you are aware of my position as warden, right? It somewhat comes with the territory. I may as well get a potential volunteer bodyguard out of it. Ever so sweet to offer.
Now, I don't always say this, but I think you're being a bit ambitious. A werewolf bodyguard.
As I said, he volunteered, but I rather think that we have it covered at the moment. With a glance to
Yeah,
Billy.
I don't really want to get replaced if I can help it. You know?
Nothing could ever replace you.
I'm gonna roll perception empathy on that for a joke.
Go for it.
Because I feel like rolling something.
It's when you botch.
This is where I botch. Are you lying? Is the question. Two successes.
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration.
Because she does appreciate Ghost, but she doesn't consider her quite irreplaceable.
Ghost just does a sort of oh you shucks kind of motion with her hand. Well, you know, it's good to have friends in low places, isn't it, Lady Sheridan?
Certainly is.
Anyway,
As long as I manage to keep him short of humping the leg, the furniture, anything else.
Or marking his territory.
Yes.
or mauling us to death.
Well, that
or
would
his
be
friends mauling us to death.
unpleasant as well, yes. But I thought I'd make you aware.
Right. Ghost is thinking to herself now. It's becoming a bit of a trend. Playing with the other side. But she sort of smirks and stands up. Well, I guess I should actually do some work, shouldn't I?
Well, as he has already made himself quite clear in feeling somewhat at a loose end, feel free to call on Mr. Rossi should you need any help with your work.
Cool.
And of course let me know if I can be of any help as well.
I might have something to help you later on as well if I've got my eye on a prize. And if I acquire this prize, she might be very useful to both of us.
Splendid. I do so love things that are mutually beneficial.
mutually beneficial. She seems to be having a little bit of daydream on that concept as she wanders towards the door.
Is there anything else I can help you with, Mr. Rossi?
I think that's it for now, actually.
Splendid.
He looks between Lady Sheridan and the Ghost, and he glances again to the guy in the pink apron,
Yeah.
and he's still not sure what to make of that, but he's doing his best to ignore it for now.
It's like, yeah, he makes himself a cup of tea and sits down drinking it.
If you could take a tray up to our guests when you're done. It's not a rush, just when you're finished. That was a comment to Billy about the new ghouls.
He says, sure thing. Sure thing.
Thank you. And of course make something for yourself as well. And then she will stroll out of the kitchen back towards the living room. And it's up to Mr. Rossi whether he decides to follow and head towards the door or not.
Kate's just sort of heading out. Unless anything else happens, she's gonna just go get on her bike and go home.
He just glanced to Ghost before following Lady Sheridan out of the room. Because I'm imagining you're showing him out the door.
Yep. And with that, the scene will end.